I learned early how to make something beautiful out of what hurt, because nobody was coming to do it for me. Not in the way I needed. Not in the way that lets a nervous system rest. Not in the way that says, you don't have to be strong right now. So I became strong. I became perceptive. I became self-contained. I became the one who noticed the subtleties, who held the emotional weather, who could read a room, read a silence, read a soul. I learned how to survive without collapsing, how to grieve without asking too much, how to love without being sure it would be returned in kind. From the outside, it looked like wisdom. From the inside, it was adaptation. It was learning to carry my own tenderness. There were seasons when I wondered, quietly, privately, without drama, why love always seemed to arrive filtered, diluted, conditional. Why I could offer depth and presence and loyalty and receive appreciation instead of refuge. Why I was valued, but not always held. So I learned to polish my sorrow. For a long time, I thought this refinement was the point, that becoming emotionally fluent, spiritually literate, intuitively precise, that this was the reward for having to grow up early in invisible ways. I thought, maybe this is what I get instead of being held. Depth instead of ease. Awareness instead of innocence. Insight instead of safety. And for a while, that story worked. It gave meaning to the imbalance. It made the loneliness feel purposeful. It turned endurance into identity. But something in me began to tire. Not of loving, not of perceiving, not of offering, of compensating, of translating my needs into something more palatable, of shrinking my longing into, I'm fine, of pretending appreciation was enough. I realized I had been living in a subtle negotiation with life. I will be self-sufficient if you don't ask me to need too much. I will be wise if you don't ask me to want. I will be strong if you don't ask me to rest. That bargain kept me functional. It did not keep me nourished. So I began to loosen it, quietly, without ceremony, without announcing a transformation. I stopped romanticizing deprivation, stopped calling resilience a virtue when it was really a necessity, stopped confusing independence with wholeness. I let myself notice the truth, that I wanted to be met, that I wanted reciprocity, that I wanted to feel chosen without auditioning, that I wanted love that didn't require translation. And naming that did not weaken me. It clarified me. I turned it into insight, into language, into perception, into prayer, into art, into service, into something useful. I placed a jewel inside the teardrop, not to deny the ache, but to survive it without hardening. And somehow, over time, the jewel became real. What I am learning now is this. The jewel was never meant to stay hidden inside the tear. It was never meant to be proof of endurance, never meant to justify deprivation, never meant to be the consolation prize for being undermet. It was a seed, a frequency, a way of knowing that came from walking through sorrow without abandoning myself. And seeds are meant to break open. So I am letting mine open. not in spectacle, not in performance, not in proclamation, in alignment, in clarity, in the simple refusal to keep living half met. I am no longer interested in being admired instead of understood, appreciated instead of cherished, respected instead of held. I am no longer interested in translating my depth into something smaller so it feels safer to receive. I am choosing resonance. I am choosing relationships, work, spaces, and rhythms that can meet me in truth, not just in image. And if you are reading this and recognize yourself, if you have learned to be luminous in quiet places, if you have learned to survive without softness, if you have turned ache into awareness and called it strength, know this: nothing in you was wasted. Nothing in you was excessive. Nothing in you was too much. You were refining your signal. You were learning discernment through longing. You were cultivating a capacity for real intimacy, first with yourself, then with life. Your jewel is real, and you are allowed to live from it now, not as compensation, as home.